Welcome back for another episode of Stories of Awakening podcast. Today I am alone. I don't have any guests because I wanted to talk to you about meditation and how meditation changed my life. And also I wanted to clarify some concepts about meditation because now everyone talks about it, but I'm sure many people don't have clarity in what meditation actually is and how it can help. And also wanted to share some researches and some information about it that some people might not know. My goal is really to simplify and clarify this practice, so all the people that are interested in it can actually start and benefit from it. So meditation is a very old practice. I'm not teaching anything new. It is thought to have originated in India several thousands of years ago, and throughout history it spreads in the neighbor countries in Asia. I would say that all the religions have a sort of meditation in their daily practice. And then in the last few decades, I would say it really developed also thanks to scientific researches in the Western world. You hear often about mindfulness, visualization, mantras, sitting cross-legged, focusing on the breathing. And people ask me if this is meditation. And the short answer is yes. This is meditation. There are different techniques. Those that I mentioned earlier are all different techniques that are considered meditation. If we look at meditation from a scientific point of view, this can be seen as a series of techniques to train the mind. And like you would train your body going to the gym, you use meditation to train your mind. And there are different types of meditation that have different goals. And also because we're all different, some of them can be better for some of us. From a psychological or mental health perspective, I could describe meditation as a tool that helps us understand the mind and our way of thinking and our pattern of thoughts. And from a spiritual point of view, it can be seen as a tool to reach enlightenment or nirvana or whatever people want to call it. Now, this doesn't have to be the goal for everyone. And when I started, what I was interested in was just feeling better. So it was more a mental health tool. And I didn't know much about it. I was just curious, and I thought it could help me to feel more calm and maybe focusing better, but I didn't know much about it because at that point I didn't read any researches. Now I would say it has shifted, and I'm more interested in the spiritual point of view of meditation. So how it can help you grow your awareness and consciousness. All kind of meditation, I think they have three things in common. And one is an intention, and often is to cultivate awareness. It can be awareness of yourself, awareness of your thoughts, awareness of your behaviors, and so on. There is an attention to what is happening in the present moment. So it can be observing your thoughts, feelings, sensations as they arise, focusing on your breath. It can be focusing on an image, a candle, or whatever. And also there is an attitude that is very useful to have when you meditate, which is usually has to be non-judgmental and curious. So what meditation teachers call beginner's mind. I really care about spreading this technique, spreading meditation. People that know me personally, they know that I've been suggesting to meditate since 5, 6 years ago when I started meditating myself, even if I didn't know any of the things that I know now about spirituality, or I didn't read any scientific research, because it made me feel so much better, so much calmer, so much more focused. I could sleep better. So it really improved my life. So I started to share it with many people. But I think it's very important to spread it around even more now, because mental stress is really a global health, I would say, pandemic. And is linked to more than 23 million deaths worldwide each year. This is, I think, mainly because of our culture, how we develop. So we are always in this external quest since we start school, university, and then the work that we want to choose, where to live, where to go on holiday, and so on. So we are always on these external quests, and often we don't enjoy what we have already. And whatever we achieve, we're always trying to search for more. Which, in a sense, I think this is the human, is something that humans do, is how we are made, and that's why we have progress as well, because we want always better and more. But I think we shift too much into just what's coming next, and really not appreciating or enjoying or accepting the situation we are in, which is the starting point for any change. So meditation helps you really to go more in your internal world, to find inner peace, to have freedom and love for yourself first, understanding who you are better, with really nothing depending on the outside world. A coach that I really like, I read one of her books, and she mentioned this quote that her dad told her, and it was, "If you work on the inside, the outside will take care of itself," which I really find it true, definitely in my case. We always try to change our external circumstances. We change job, we change house, we change boyfriend, thinking that that would be the solution. But the main thing that we have to do is actually go inward and try to work on ourselves to become the better version of ourselves. And I think is a lifelong journey, but I think then you will start to create the reality that you want, but it has to come from the inside to the outside, basically. Now there are tons of researches providing the benefits of meditations. So they saw, for example, that part of the brain after meditating for a while really begins to change. The part of the brain responsible for concentration and memory grows, and the part responsible for stress decreases, the amygdala. Also, regular meditation has been shown to lower blood pressure, to improve sleep, to even treat chronic pain, anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and so much more. One of the things that I really realized helped me was it really helped me understand more about myself, my personality, behaviors, relationships, and it really made it easier to recognize past conditioning that weren't coming from what I actually wanted, but probably from my family, culture, and environment I grew up in. and also all these limiting beliefs that would make life much more difficult than what it could be. And it gives you really, and this is again, scientific researches are proving this, it really gives you greater awareness of yourself, of the world around you. I find also greater appreciation and kindness towards others around you. Also, the calming and relaxing effects of meditation, they say that translate into greater emotional stability and emotional resilience. And this is actually what I was trying to achieve. Even if I wasn't aware, the meditation could give me that. But I don't know if you remember from my first episode in the podcast, what I was saying is that for example, I changed 7 houses in 8 years in London, which is a lot. And some of them was because they sold the house and I needed to find something else, or they were renting out the place illegally, so they closed us out of the house, so I needed to find somewhere else to go, which are stressful situation. But I could really see how some of my flatmates or other people that went through the same weren't taking it as bad as I did. They weren't panicking, they weren't just jumping in the first house they were finding just to be sure to have something. They were really calm about the situation. Of course, they were annoyed, but there wasn't panic, there wasn't desperation. So observing them really helped me to understand that there was another way to deal with issues. And what meditation helped me to achieve was really this. So when I had to change houses after I started meditating, it wasn't a panic attack. I never had a panic attack, but I mean, I wasn't feeling panic or I wasn't feeling desperate. I really knew that things were meant to go like that. I accepted the situation and I started to search for another house, but without any rush, without rushing in another random house, then it wasn't the perfect fit for me. And I could apply basically this to any areas of my life. It could have been a job, a relationship, friendship, and so on. So this is really how my life improved, because meditation really help you to see the situation around you. Your thoughts arise, but you don't become them. You don't become the emotions. You just observe them and then you let them go. And there is that space that meditation gives you so you can take the best decision for yourself without being too impulsive, basically, and be guided just by your emotions. So that's why I'm so passionate about spreading this technique, because it can really drastically improve our lives. So it doesn't mean that stressful situation will never happen again, but you will deal with them in a completely different and new way. In case all these benefits still don't convince you, I want to tell you this story. So this is a story about a school in San Francisco. I hope I'm saying the name correctly, but it was called Visitacion Valley Middle School. And it was in an area surrounded by drugs, gang violence, so very unsafe area. And in 2006, there were 38 killings in that neighbor. And one day, the children came to the school to find 3 dead bodies in the courtyard. So, of course, this violence also spread in the school because you are affected by the energy around you, and the violence was in the community, and it was generating several fights every day in the school, suspension and so on. So they tried different things and nothing worked until they introduced a program called Quiet Time, which was a meditation program. the kids were meditating 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon, if I remember correctly. And after just 1 month of starting this program, the teachers could notice changes in the kids' behavior. The students seemed happier, they worked harder, they paid more attention, it was easier to teach, and the number of fights dropped dramatically. And this just after a month. And I can totally confirm that, because after a month of meditating every day, I could really see the changes already in myself and how I was reacting to things that were happening. In the first year of this program, suspensions were reduced by 45%, almost half of them. And 2 years later, the attendance rate were over 98%, which is some of the highest in the city. So yeah, another problem was the kids weren't going to school anymore. And one of the maybe most remarkable things also is recently they did a survey. I think it's called California Healthy Kids Survey by the Department of Education of the state. And they found that students in this school were the happiest in all San Francisco. So if any one of you that is listening and has kids or is a teacher, and I'm sure they do much more nowadays in schools about mindfulness and things like that, but in case there is some suggestion to make and new programs to introduce, please introduce the meditation programs. And it doesn't have to be, of course, just in very rough areas of a city. It can really benefit anyone, anywhere. There were other researches. I don't remember the name of this research, but I remember reading that there were 144 highly successful people that were interviewed, and 90% of them confirmed that they had some sort of daily meditation, and those were CEOs, sports people, celebrities, and so on. So at those levels where the pressure is definitely high, I'm sure some sort of meditation is needed to handle all of that. So another thing that I wanted to talk about was some false beliefs about meditation that really stop many people from starting. So I heard many times that the goal of meditation is to silence the mind, which is actually not true. Like, meditation doesn't silence the mind. Maybe with practice you will have less and less thoughts, intrusive thoughts, but especially at the beginning, the thoughts will arise, and the technique is teaching you to observe the thoughts without any judgment and let them go. That's what meditation tells you to do. And some other people were thinking, during an effective meditation session, you will have no thoughts. I don't think this is possible, especially at the beginning. So the whole technique is really observing your thoughts without any judgment and just letting them go. I also heard often that meditation can be a religious, only a religious or spiritual practice. And I also can say this is not necessarily true. I have it now as a spiritual practice, but I started, as I said, for well-being purposes. So it was simply for feeling better. It was a mental health tool for me initially. And I couldn't have not imagined that it would have brought me here to teach other people how to meditate and have it as a spiritual practice. But it can definitely be just a tool that you used to improve your mental health. Also, there is not just one way of meditating with cross-legged and with eyes closed. There are so many ways you can actually meditate. The first 2 years, I think I shared that in the podcast as well. I was lying down and I was doing it before going to bed. Then I started to fall asleep, and it's not effective, of course, if you fall asleep. So I changed the time of the day when I was doing it, and I started to sit down in a proper meditation position. But it perfectly worked for a couple of years, just lying down in bed. You can do it standing up, you can do it walking. There are walking meditations, or I really consider meditations also, painting, drawing, any artistic things, creating music, where your attention is really focused on one specific thing. So find your own way of meditating. There is not just one way. And also, some people ask me about how long do I suggest to meditate, and some think that less than 20 minutes is not effective. But in my experience, I haven't read any scientific research about this, but I can tell you from my experience, again, for the first 2 years, I just did one type of meditation, which was mindfulness. And I was doing it lying down in bed, and I was doing it 5-10 minutes max per day. And sometimes, where there were difficult day at work, or I felt I needed it, I was taking my phone and my headphones, I was going to the bathroom, and I was doing my meditation for 5 minutes there. They were guided meditations. So I really found different places, and 5 minutes were enough to actually feel the benefits of it. So one of these meditations that I just mentioned, actually, it was the one that I practiced the most in the last 5 years, is what I started with, is called mindfulness. And this is a type of meditation that comes from Buddhist tradition, and is a series of techniques for focusing on the present moment. There are different definitions of mindfulness, and one of them is the ability to be present with our experiences, whatever they are. Meditation really allows us to observe and understand our thoughts, emotions, even pain, without being completely consumed and sucked into them, without becoming the emotion. It's basically allowing to feel all the emotions. You still feel them, you just don't become part of the drama. You don't become them anymore. You don't feel overwhelmed anymore. It really gives you this space to stop and then make the best decisions for ourselves. This is what I was telling you earlier. And often I've been asked if it's possible to do this without doing any meditation at all. And the answer is yes, of course it's possible, actually. And one person can be present while listening to someone very deeply, or while eating, or while drinking, or walking, or whatever. So of course it's possible, but I see that our culture is really based on multitasking. We do 100 things together, and we became really slaves of our minds instead of using our mind as a tool to create a better life and better choices and make better choices for ourselves. So yeah, this is what I wanted to tell you about meditation. One more thing actually I wanted to say, and then I would like to do a little exercise together if you're still here listening. What I want to say is that meditation can be different every time you practice it. Every day you can have a different experience, especially if you're new to it. Don't expect to feel this deep peace and serenity since the first time you do it, because as everything, you need practice. So don't give up just because the first few times is uncomfortable. The thoughts will always come and go, so you don't have to do anything other than acknowledge them and letting them go. Yeah, so my suggestion is doing it sitting down with the back straight. That position was created for a reason. It creates a strong sense of grounding in your legs. It allows the spine and the pelvic floor to stretch and the shoulders to relax. And the energy can flow better in the spine. But if that's uncomfortable for you, you can really do it as you prefer, even lying down, as I was saying, or standing up. Okay, so after saying all of this, maybe we can do just a 5-minute practice altogether. So make yourself comfortable wherever you prefer. You can sit down on a chair, on the floor, lying down in bed, even standing up if you prefer. I'll give you a few seconds to just settle in. And when you're ready, we can start taking some deep breaths into the nose and out from the mouth. Another deep breath in and deep breath out. At the next exhalation, if it's comfortable for you, you can close your eyes. And you can bring your attention on the weight of your body, on the chair or on the floor or wherever you are. Maybe the feet touching the floor, the hands resting on your legs. Now, shift the attention to the sounds around you and maybe notice if they're near or far away. Remember to notice things without any judgment. Notice them and let them go. Now, bring the attention back to the body. And let's do a scan of the body from head to toe. Go at your own pace and notice if there is any area of tension, discomfort, or your body is relaxed. Notice where your attention goes. Again, without changing anything, just observing. Now you can shift the attention to your breath and the rising and falling sensation of your belly. Notice how is your breathing, if it's slow or fast, deep or shallow. Again, without changing anything, just observing the sensations. I'll leave you focusing on the breath for a minute or so. You can count the breath if it's helping you to focus on it. Remember that the mind will wander, and this is totally normal. When this happens, simply notice it and bring the attention back to your breath. Now bring your attention back to the weight of the body on the chair, the contact of the feet on the floor, the hands on your legs. Now to the sounds around you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes again. Welcome back. Okay, I'll let you go on for the rest of your day. I hope this little practice made you feel better. And thank you so much for practicing with me. And I'll catch you at the next episode.